Hi there, welcome to another episode of Adam Asks Jess. We're going to jump straight in today, no waffling. Let's go. How do you do your due diligence when looking at deals right now? I've had that asked to me a few times. It's in one of the comments on the previous videos too.
Due diligence, that's an exciting topic. I think what you really mean is, what gives you the confidence to pull the trigger? That's what you're talking about.
How do you know?
How do you go?
How do you know a deal's a deal?
How do you know a deal's a deal? And that is a valuable thing. And due diligence might be, it's a bit dry, isn't it? But actually what we're talking about is I see lots of people looking at a deal, not going for it, and it was a deal, but they talked themselves out of it because either they were over-analysing it or they didn't know how to do enough analysis to get themselves comfortable with it. I think there's a step-by-step logical order of things that you need to go through. Some of them are obvious, some of them aren't. It's not just all spreadsheet calculator stuff or surveys and all those kind of things. So let's go through the list. I think the first things you need to know is where you're buying, know the area, and there's a few little tests and things that we do. It's probably less detailed than I've seen other people go into. I mean, I've got to say, I'm pretty good at this. I'm pretty good at buying a house, and we've built that into the business that, we're pretty good at it, yeah? And one of the things that we manage to do is filter out the noise. So if, somebody would ask us, and we get it from clients quite often, do you look at schools, proximity to local transport,
crime rate?
Crime rate is the thing. So there is no 5-year-old in this country that hasn't ever had a place to go to school. Schools are near houses. If there's a house, there's a school near. You don't need to do much more than that. Is it the best grammar school in the... That's not relevant for the kind of houses and the house prices we're talking about. Transport links, you go out the front door, is there a bus stop within 200 metres? All the places where we buy, the answer is yes. Crime rates, we don't put too much store about them. Our rule has always been, would I walk down this road after dark? Does it feel all right? And that's enough. Like if you start going on the websites and looking at actual official crime stats, they're skewed. They're always skewed. My road, the road where I live, has got a really bad crime rate because there's not many houses and one person got robbed once. That's you can go to the middle of Mayfair and they've got bad crime rates in some areas on £20 million houses. So being sensible and realistic about it and knowing the area. Don't obsess about stuff. Have that nice pragmatic middle of the road. Next thing is comparables. That's a little bit trickier. Working out what it's going to be worth when you bought it. So we're always trying to buy something a bit of a bargain. So it's worth 100 grand. What can I buy it for? How do I know it's worth 100 grand though? So all the other work comes after it. Renovation costs and the offer. But what can I buy it for? What's it worth? We use Roof Plus. You've got to subscribe to it. It's hundreds of pounds a month, so it's probably not something that everybody can do. There are some specialist reports you can get online. Put those in. Don't just use the Zoopla number. The Zoopla number, it's way out. Literally just takes all the houses, 2 beds and 5 beds if they're all on the same street, and it just mashes them in together. If it's a row of terrace houses, it might be a little bit more accurate. But the thing to do would be to look at land registry data and dig around on. All the other websites that can give you the past sold history.
With the comps, right? How far out do you go from the house?
A quarter of a mile, isn't it? Yeah.
About that, right?
Yeah. Rightmove Plus will only do that. Well, we'll go one more step.
You can stretch it if you want.
Stretch, the other thing you can do is ask estate agents. I'm thinking back to the times now when it's been so long since we've had Rightmove Plus. Then
problem with asking estate agents is you ask three, you get three different potentially.
Answers. My little trick that I always used to do was ring up. Estate agents hate giving a valuation over the phone because they don't want to be held to it, and they actually want to get it. It's not that it's hard to give the valuation. It's reasonably easy, although it could be, dependent on how truthful you are about the property. If you say it's a 2-bed, it's in great condition, and it's not really in great condition, then they can't value the house, can they? But if you describe it well, they should be able to value it over the phone, but they want to come out to see you because they want to get the listing. But how about you say, I've got a 2-bed, 3-bed, whatever it is, the tenant's in there, tenants moving out, they're only moving out in 3 weeks' time. I don't know if I'm going to flip it on, back re-rent it, or if I'm going to sell it out again. Can you give me a valuation? Sorry, the tenant won't let us in. Can you just do it over the phone? If the tenant leaves, I'll give you the instruction. So basically, you're giving an excuse why you can't get them round there to go and actually look at the thing, and they'll give you something over the phone there and then. If you do that to 3 different estate agents, you might get somewhere near. Just down to you to sort of have that conversation. Try and keep the estate agent on the phone for a little bit longer to say, "Are you sure? Would you be able to do that? If I needed it sold within sort of 4, 5, 6 weeks, what I'll bring the price down by £5,000. What would that do?" And they say, "Oh no, you really don't need to. The market's strong. You've tested it." If they go, "Yeah, do you know what? Yeah, if you brought it down by £5,000, that would definitely go. It'd be more realistic." Or look, if you need to get rid of it that quick, then you might need to bring it down £10,000. You've thought that's a really good way to get a comparable, and all the other websites. Like I say, we use Rightmove Plus, which makes us a bit lazy. The job's a bit easy, isn't it?
Before you're buying it, you'll get a survey.
Yep.
I always recommend our clients get a building survey too. Why not? Do you ever get a valuation survey?
No, I know the answer. I could stand on the doorstep and tell you what it's worth. I never go in a house. I never go in a house anywhere these days. But when I was buying houses, I'd never go walking out. I'd walk through the door, but know what it was worth, done up. That's the job, isn't it? That's the job, and so do all of our buyers. That's just what they do. Similarly, after spending 15 minutes walking around the house, I can usually get the renovation to within £200, £250 of the cost, give or take. We always have a £2,500 contingency. You lift up something, so you couldn't see that, but there's not a lot of stuff that can hide in a 2 or 3 bed terraced house. There's not a lot. So, apart from asbestos, as we've learned recently. So knowing what your renovation costs, that's a big part of your due diligence. It could be your biggest part. What it's worth, the end value of the property. You're going to get reasonably accurate numbers on that. Working out the cost of the renovation. There's 2 things that play into that. There's the list of works you're going to do, and you can make that as long as your arm, or bring it down too short so you're not going to get a quality job. You need the sort of the Goldilocks formula. And then once you've got the list of works, you then need to get that priced. And that list of works, one builder could charge you £10,000 and one could charge you £20,000 for exactly the same job. So there's 2 big levers in there, and one can throw it out way out, and it just doesn't make it a deal. So that's a big part of due diligence. I think the next thing you're going to need to do is, if mortgaging your properties is part of the plan, it almost certainly is if you're looking to keep buying. Very few people got a never-ending pot, or not even never-ending pot, like a resupplying pot. You're going to want to mortgage and remortgage properties. So it's part of your due diligence is working out where you can get out of the deal. If you buy it in cash or with a mortgage, if it's a big project, you probably won't be able to buy it with a mortgage. You can't get a mortgage on an unmortgageable house on a wreck. So you're going to want to know that you can get a mortgage at the other end. So most of our clients, I would always, if I'm feeling like I can't get a mortgage on the other end, I know that I'm tying up my capital for an indefinite period of time. I don't want to do that. That's topical at the moment.
Yeah,
getting
true.
out. I mean, good news today. What are we? What were the first of December, don't we? I think mortgage rates, people will know they've been up and down. I can't say they're back to normal, but they're doable now. The rates. Was it 4.7?
4.75.
4.75. Today, one of our clients has been offered 4.75. That's not brilliant. It's not.
That's a limited company. It's a limited buy-to-let mortgage.
Yeah. It's normally enough to make it work. I was getting 4.2s, 4.5s, those kind of numbers. So not a million miles away. We're back to normal. Back in business.
Definitely.
Knowing you can get out on a mortgage, that's part of the due diligence. Once you've got all those numbers, what it's worth, you're happy that the area's okay. You know what it's worth when it's done up. You know what the renovation will cost. The next thing is rentability. I mean, in this market, stuff just rents. I mean, when was the last time we actually really had to seriously think about whether or not the demand's there?
There's never an issue with demand. The only issue we're getting at the minute is because there's so much demand, people are being a bit untruthful when they're applying for houses sometimes, and then they're failing referencing after a couple of weeks because you tell them if you've got a CCJ it will show up in the referencing, and they say I promise you I haven't, and then it comes up that they have. You're getting that a little bit, but the demand's crazy, and you speak to any letting agent anywhere, because we do, don't we? We speak to the letting agents. They all say the same thing. Rents are going up, demand is at an all-time high, and all the predictions are saying the rents are going to keep rising well into next year as well.
Oh, yeah, you can see it. I can't see any stop. There's no let-up in we're buying properties from landlords. Some landlords are selling up. Some of those properties will go back into the owner-occupier market. The number of properties to rent is in the areas where we're buying is shrinking, and the number of tenants that want to rent them is going up. So rents are going up. It's fantastic news from that point of view. Not from a tenant, of course. It's not, but from a landlord's point of view. Not that we like to put the tenants versus the landlords. It shouldn't be about that. But in that equation, of course, it just is. Inflation going up, cost of everything going up. It's all part of the bigger picture. So it's not all our fault. But definitely rents are going up. Stress test has been a bit of a thing as well, but I can see, it's stopped now. It's over. That stress test is coming down. So stress test being the amount of rent versus the loan payment, and there needing to be more rent than mortgage going out by 145%, whatever. And over the last 6, 7, 8 weeks, that's been a problem. It's the first time it's been a problem for a decade and more, but it did become a thing. But it was such a short-lived thing. We were looking at houses thinking this wouldn't meet the stress test, but now things have gone back to normal. So that doesn't really factor into our due diligence. It's just the general overall profitability ticking the box. We like to buy a bargain house, add some value, and then as long as the rent will cover it and make a profit, then we're happy. Just there's a little notification. I'm getting emails here. The next thing is into the conveyancing process. There's your conveyancer should look after you. Get a good conveyancer. That's a big part. People says due diligence. That's actually a big part of it. But really, you need to delegate that all out. You can't do anything about the searches and is the title ready. Your solicitor just needs to say yes, it is or isn't. Same with the survey, getting a building survey done. Is the place falling down? Has it got problems with damp or whatever? I mean, you've got to get a realistic survey because if you get the wrong surveyor in, they can pull a house apart and you'd never buy it. Whereas we just want to know, are the walls standing up straight? Is the roof on? Highlight everything else so we can cross-check that we should already have noticed those things. And we want to cross-check that we've noticed them, and almost always we have. But you do want to have that cross-check.
You want to have the conversation with the surveyor before they go in. That they know that you've already identified a number of issues and you're planning to renovate the house. You don't want a home buyer's report. It's 90% copy and paste nonsense. You want a building condition report that's basically just telling you, yes, this place isn't falling down, but you need to replace the kitchen and the bathroom, etc.
The biggest thing then, that sounds like a reasonably big list, and it is. There's a lot of stuff to go through, but it's not insurmountable. It's not it's not rocket science, as they say. If it looks like a deal at that point, it's probably a deal, because of the overwhelming, the big task that is finding it, getting it, having a look with the builder, checking it all out. You can overanalyze stuff. You can get so much data coming in. The danger is then that you get to a place where you've just got too much data and you can't make a decision.
You've forgotten my flippant due diligence that I do.
Go on.
Is it near an Aldi or a Lidl?
Well, that's part of the walking up and down
when
the street.
People come to say, what's the area like? I say, well, it's not far away from an Aldi or a Lidl. It's all right.
An Aldi and Lidl, they buy plots and building
certain areas for a certain reason. They're
absolutely
close to where ordinary working people live and work. And that's the sort of places we buy too.
One thing I do see landlords making, I think it's a mistake. The landlords sometimes are doing it unknowingly, sometimes they're doing it on purpose, in which case it's not a mistake for them, is buying a house like they'd like to live in themselves. Maybe they live in a house that looks like this, and they think, well, the house I live in a 4-bed house that looks like this. I'll just buy 200 metres around the corner, I'll chop that bit off, it'll be a 3-bedroom house. And we tend to find, we just know, I've built all my portfolio out of it, all of our clients have had Adam has as well. They've got to be slightly cheaper, slightly smaller, and there's a miscalibration. I think landlords should look down the other end. It's not as scary as you think. If there's burnt out cars and riots in the streets, then that's not for you. But do find that area. That's actually one of the things we do when we go to look for a new area. We find the area where you wouldn't buy. We look for all of those. Go find the cheapest, grottiest, dirtiest house, sit in that area, then work your way out. You've got to find rock bottom to work your way out. And somewhere on the journey between there and going back to where you might want to live, it's not somewhere in the middle, it's just a little bit towards the burnt out cars. You're still far enough away. if you're lucky, you'll find an area that, if Burnt Out Cars is number 1 and Millionaires Road's 10, you want to be buying in 3s and 4s. If you're lucky, you will be able to buy in a 3 surrounded by 4s, so it'll get pulled up quick. That's one of the tricks as well. That's a bit more, I wouldn't say advanced, but it's a bit more in-depth conversation for now and then. But yeah, that's how you know a deal's a deal.
Yeah. But that bit that last thing you touched on, really, we rely heavily on our buyers for that sort of stuff. You don't. I know the answer to the question I asked. How do you do your due diligence when looking at deals right now? You don't do any anymore.
It's true.
I saw you buy a house today. You just said, "I'll have it," and it went to the solicitors. And then I sent you an email saying, "By the way, this is the brochure.
This is the address, and this is the
because you know the due diligence has been done for you."
I don't even know what I paid for it.
Yeah, 50 something. Yeah,
that's good. Yeah, so actually, that's a good point. I might give off the wrong. So I get the comment, "Oh, you're very relaxed. You're very, relaxed, chilled out." You can be if I'm not. I'm not relaxed. I'm not chilled out. I am now, but I love a spreadsheet. You know, I love a spreadsheet. Yeah. That what you're talking about there, I saw it in the spreadsheet. It was there. It'd been there too long. People would say, "Oh, we're over our time." So that's a deal. But I'm going to do this little bit as an aside. People say, "Jess, you must get all the best houses." We run a business where we find houses for landlords. We run a letting agency, and landlords want to grow. And so, Jess, you must get all the best houses. It's not true. I wouldn't say the duff ones. I get the ones that are left over. So
ones that fall through.
Yeah. Well, or sit there too long. It's been a funny old couple of weeks. Our buyers are buying intermittently. There's a lot of turbulence and crap in the market, and I've spent every video for the last 6, 7, 8 weeks has been around what's going on in the market, trying to make sense of it. But always throughout it's been we're buying more, just keeping buying.
It's funny as well that the guys that have been the clients of ours that have continuously kept buying and keeping their head down tend to be the ones, more experienced investors, the ones that don't let all the noise affect them. Read an article today about how portfolio landlords are expected to 50% of portfolio landlords are expected to keep buying next year because they just don't listen to all the noise.
It's the best.
That's why they're portfolio landlords, though, isn't it?
I was surprised that what I was getting onto was that I was surprised that the house that was left in the hopper, we call it the hopper, so it's a bought house, it's done. We're buying it in the market.
It's an off-market property.
Off-market property, sale agreed, it's done.
Yeah.
I was surprised. So I would only get it if it's been in the hopper for 48 hours, and it was, which that's unheard of at the moment. It's not that Adam's struggling to allocate them and get clients for them. It's just that normally I get the stuff that's fallen through. Rarely can I go, "I'll have that because it's been there for 48 hours. Thank you very much." That's just like no due diligence in terms of I know that all of those things that I talked about, all the area that I know they've got the renovation down. They know all that due diligence has been done. It needs to go through conveyancing.
You'll still have a survey anyway.
I'll have a survey. Yeah.
All those bits and pieces have been done for you. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. I'll have it checked out before. Yeah. A couple of £100. Why wouldn't you? It could be something. When it comes to traditional due diligence, going through the conveyancing coal reports and environmental reports and all those kind of things. We'll still do all those because, of course, there could be a mine shaft underneath it and nobody would know until you did the surveys. We did have one. We had one recently. 3 mine shafts, one in the front garden, one in the back garden, one under the bloody house. I mean, and the question came back, can we buy this?
Stoke, wasn't it?
The
Stoke area, yeah.
It was, yeah. When I say a mine shaft, I think it was like that. I don't know what on earth. It's like a ventilation something.
House had been there for a long time, but we didn't.
Absolutely.
We pulled the client out.
Do you know what? When you think about it, it's like, well, the house has been built on top of it, and it was 100 and something years old. I mean, it probably wasn't a problem, but still, I just don't like the idea that I'm a type. So there we go. We went over a little bit, but I went off on a tangent for some other stuff. That's how you know a deal's a deal. And I love a spreadsheet. Having everything organised and doing all that due diligence up front allows me to look like I'm relaxed and go, yeah, I'll buy that. But I know all that work's been done. What next then?
Next, subscribe, like, share, send us some questions in the comments. Come and meet us on a discovery call if you want. You can book on to one of them for our website. Keep watching the videos.
Cool. Cheers for that.
Have a nice Christmas.
Have a nice Christmas.
Well, that sort of thing.
We're going to be doing a few more before Christmas.
Yeah, I suppose.
I just realised I forgot my hat today.
Should we wear Santa hats next week?
That's what we'll wear.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cheers.